This isn't the first time the show's dealt with a Prime Directive-like issue. They've dealt with less advanced civilizations before. But let's be honest, in the real world, we do really crappy at dealing with less advanced civilizations. Welcome to the heart of the stories we tell. My name is Rob, and tonight I will be reviewing Episode 12 of Season 1, Mad Idolatry. Idolatry. Man, that's a word I haven't used in a long time. And being that this is the last episode of the season because it's been cut short, let me just quickly say that I really loved this season. Now, there's a lot of unpacking to do with everything that happened tonight, and I can hardly wait to do an entire episode of my show just about the world building they did. But for a moment, I want to talk about what idolatry, that I can't pronounce, means. The worship of, the making something into an idol. And that's exactly what shows like this and Star Trek are so afraid of. The idea that if you show up and have something so far advanced that no one can understand it, they're going to take a look at you and your uniforms and say, oh my god, you're a god. For those of you that don't know, what I do here is comment on and try to break down stories. I do theory videos every Sunday, Throwback Thursdays, and reviews as things come out. If that sounds interesting, click that subscribe button and let's get started. With last week, I asked you guys to let me know what you've been thinking about the Orville and what you like about it. And you all gave me some great things. And we're going to come back and touch on all of these either next week or the week after as I continue to make Orville videos. But for right now, I just want to say a big thank you. And we're going to get back to each one of these case by case. However, one of you actually pointed out the fact that I guess I'm one of the only reviewers that was talking about the difference between how you lead and the fact that the episode was all about leadership qualities. So thank you for pointing that out. And as far as subscribing, well, I thank you for at least considering it. Even if you don't, just being here to watch my videos is a big help. But for now, let's talk about this week's The Orville. Alright, and it starts off in a crazy place. Well, don't they all? It's a sci-fi classic. Let's throw this up there and talk about it. So once again, it's stop. Spoiler time. So cultural contamination, why Starfleet has its prime directive over in Star Trek, is a very real phenomenon. We had these things called cargo cults. When less advanced civilizations saw our planes landing and giving supplies and fruits out to natives, they thought of them as gods, or at least angels, or some equivalent, and then built papier-mâché tree-like planes in order to try to bring back those creatures that came from the sky and gave sustaining food. The scientific method is all about observing reality and making a theory based on it, and then trying to disprove it. The problem comes that people have this thing called common sense. If sense were common, more people would have it. And what they do is they sit there and they observe, and then they just jump to the first conclusion they can, the easiest, the one that makes the most sense in their mind. And the problem is that if you don't have an analytical mind, if you're not really thinking about what's going on, you come up with these false conclusions. And what are some of these false conclusions? Well, you might call this commander he, or this one he, when neither one of them have a very defined sexual orientation. This one, however, does, and you'd probably more likely call it instead of he. But he obviously is very attracted to female crew members. So think that through. How much you need to really put aside what was your common sense and what makes the most sense in your mind and go more for the scientific method. Now, the problem is that we haven't always been good at this. In the Dark Ages, we were very, what's the right word, superstitious? And I'm not even saying that I fault you for believing in religion. I personally do. But I want you to think about all of the strange beliefs that we hold based entirely on we didn't understand. And now I want you to realize that even in the computer age, there's a lot of things we don't understand, and that a spacefaring people might seem like magic. In fact, that's Arthur C. Clarke's first rule of sci-fi. But you see, that wasn't really the entire theme of the show. They could have easily done an entire show just about that, but they chose to have this planet that has this anomaly that it jumps 700 years every so many days that passed in the real world. And there was a reason for that. They wanted to study evolution. Not just the study of physical evolution, not, hey, at one point we were this and we evolved to that. No, the mental evolution. And that's really what Seth MacFarlane's trying to make a point about here. Given enough time, given enough resources, sooner or later we outgrow childish things. Now, I don't know if that's entirely true. I think that there's still a pretty fair chance that 400 years from now we'd still have religion. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if we have religion all the way until you turn the lights off and let the galaxy go cold. Because there's a certain amount of need to believe. And that's perfectly fine too. But what we have here is a belief in something that wasn't real. And we had Isaac go down and fix that. And can I just say, just real quick, I know that this has been pretty deep for some of this stuff, but I want a web series just talk about Isaac, like, writing reports about what he saw in that 700 years he was on the planet. That would be cool. But alright. So like I said, what Seth MacFarlane really wanted to show us was what happens when we culturally contaminate. And the fact that even if we didn't, it wouldn't change anything. Because at the end of the day, people are still people. And we will believe what we believe and not believe what we don't believe. And there's no way to course correct either. Everything just keeps on moving, evolving. We believe in logic, we believe in science, we believe in exploration. And the more we explore, the more we think about our situation, the more we try to figure out, the more we examine, the more we'll come to be. But this episode was more than just about one big old science versus religion. No, like every episode of the Orville, humanity and relationships was at the forefront. And that's what makes this show so different than modern Trek, but has in it what Trek used to. It's about these two. People who started the episodes disliking each other, learned to work together, and then eventually came to the point where they realized maybe they were still even in love. And those date nights were awesome. But at the end of the day, workplace fraternization is problematic enough in today's day and age, let alone adding in sci-fi-ness. I mean, just imagine two Navy crewmen stuck on a ship together. I mean, that sort of relationship, not to mention the power dynamic between captain and first officer. But even worse, Ed was willing to do anything to protect Kelly. But then again, there's part of me that says, hasn't Ed been willing to do the same for every member of the crew? Isn't he always willing to overlook, protect, and hide? In fact, wasn't there an entire episode written about that, one where they were stuck in a prison? That episode had someone else in command, and the answer given was, wouldn't Captain Mercer come back for you? Wouldn't Captain Mercer come back for any of us? And so that's going to be my question to you. Do you think that whether they were dating or not, whether it was Kelly or not, even if it was Bortus, would Mercer have made the same decision to withhold that information and not get them in trouble? Let me know down below, and since this is the season finale, next week we'll come back and just talk about some of the things that they've done right and wrong on this series so far. But hey, I need to ask you to do those things that I guess all YouTubers are asking you to do. Hit the thumbs up button, share this with your friends and family. Hey, Seth MacFarlane, if you're out there, give me a shout out. And if this is your first time here, subscribe. Or don't. You know what? I'd like everyone to subscribe. I'd like to hit 100 subscribers and give away an Amazon gift card for it. But if not, that's cool too. Just join in the conversation. Because the most important part about this is building a conversation. Is we walk through the heart of the Orville and the heart of all of the stories we tell. I hope you have a good night, and thanks for watching.